So- 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 I'm so sorry. Hi, welcome to the Ellis Talker Show. I'm DV LeBron. Do you have construction needs or maybe something happened to your roof in the recent windstorms? Check out K&H Contracting and Roofing. They can take care of all your needs, whether you want to do a patio or you need that roof fix or you need a remodel. Check them out. They're in Waxahachie, and they will help you any way they can. K&H Contracting. Today, my very special guest and friend is Miss Abby Selman, the extraordinary realtor of all of DFW, has come on to talk about what's going on in Ellis County as far as the market, because I know that some people are kind of curious about what's going on. So thank you so much for coming on, young lady.
Yeah, excited.
Can you do me a favor and kind of just give a quick bio on you, and then we'll jump into all that other stuff?
Yeah, that's great. So my name's Abby Selman. I've been doing real estate in Ellis County specifically for about 11, 12 years. My husband is from this area. I moved from the hill country right when I started about 12 years ago. It's been a whirlwind. I started in Midlothian area when there was about 10,000 people. And so just watching the growth and seeing the development has been super fun. And growing and being a part of this community has been awesome. Obviously, I love Ellis County and I sell Ellis County, but not just as a real estate agent, but as a community member. I think Ellis County is one of the greatest places to live in the U.S. So thanks for having me today.
I agree. I do love this place. Now, what made you want to go into real estate?
Oh, okay. Well, so I waited tables since I was 11 years old. I was actually working 3 jobs while I was going to school. One of those jobs was working at a florist shop, and it was not going so well, and they were super interesting people. But one of my regulars at my other job, at my waitressing job, was a real estate agent. So she would come in and talk to me. Hey, how's it going? What are you doing? I was like, kind of working at this florist, kind of doing this while I'm waiting for my husband to finish school and that kind of thing. She said, well, what are they paying you? And, I told her, she's like, well, I'll pay you that. Come and be my assistant. And so okay. I mean, I think I was at her office maybe 2 days later, doing assistant work for her. Of course, she was too busy to ever be organized enough to like really pull me in and show me everything. But I was immediately interested. My parents live in the same house that I literally was born in. So real estate was not on my radar at all. I had a major in English and a minor in biblical languages. Didn't exactly know what I was going to do, but I kind of thought something potentially entrepreneurial type situation. I always joke that waitressing was the intro in, because I think about what you do as a waitress. You anticipate people's needs and you work really hard so that they will give you a good tip. Well, what do you do in real estate? You anticipate people's needs at a higher level and you work really hard so that people will hire you, because it's very cutthroat. So I came in, I think maybe 3 months after I was her assistant. She kind of looked at me and said, well, when are you going to get your license? I went home that day. Literally that day, I had researched where the best schools were in Texas that I could go and get my real estate license, and how fast I could get it, where I could go to do it in person so I could get the best education possible, and what my plan was to do it while my husband was finishing up school. So my husband got home later that day and I said, hey, I'm going to go and stay with my friend for 4 weeks so that I can go to real estate school in Austin. And then I'll get my license and we can move to Dallas together. And the rest is history. That was exactly what happened. We literally sold all of our stuff. We were sitting in lawn chairs in the living room eating with
Dropping.
cardboard boxes, and I would drape towels over the cardboard boxes so it felt more like a table. My husband went to paramedic and firefighter school so that he could become a firefighter. So we were both working on our careers. Back then, it was like, get as many reviews as you can, use all the free resources that you can, work 90 hours a week to try to get rental clients and whatever you can get. And it's just been grinding until you get to a point where you have a base and you get referrals. And that is probably 90% of what I do now, is work on referrals. I have a lot of referrals. So it's been a ride for sure. God has definitely blessed us and put us in a good position. And it's been awesome. The clients I have, I would tell you, the best clients in the world. So,
I know faith has a big role in your life. How has it influenced this career path, and how is God blessing you in that?
oh my gosh. So, first of all, we would tell you to what is given, I think you have a lot of responsibility. So, if that is resources, if that is a business mind, I think you have a responsibility to your community and to God to use that for the good of the community. And so the biggest thing for us, and I would tell you, because people that, oh, Abby's got great business sense. Abby's, can be really savvy. She's a great negotiator, all those things. But I would say right now that sense that I have, if anything, it is because the Lord has given it to us tenfold. He has bless our business and put us in a good position. And the other thing about faith that I would say in real estate is that there is a large margin for taking advantage of people, unfortunately, in my industry. And I think that the public is very well aware of it. It's not quite the used car salesman type situation, but similar. It is. And so there's a lot of undoing that I have to do as far as getting the trust of the public. But faith plays into that because I'm not going to be the person to take advantage of someone, because I not only do I have, a community obligation, but I have an ethical and a faith obligation that at the end of the day, it's not about how much money Abby's going to make. It's about how I can help someone. And do you know that when you treat someone right, especially in this industry, they do tend to come back to you. And sometimes you might lose deals to do the right or the ethical thing, but and it's always worked out well for us. And that's kind of our business is my whole slogan is client for life. And so that's how it works. We may not make a sale happen right now because it may not be the right thing. And we may work hours and hours and not get paid. But maybe 3 years later, something else works out and they call me because they remember, hey, this person took care of me and they treated me right and they were fair. 100% when you base your business on the way that I think Christ would have you treat people, inevitably things do go well. And sometimes you may lose out of a little bit of money, but you gain so much more in the joy of the job, the joy that you have in relating to people, even monetarily in the end. That is the way to do business and to succeed in this country.
God blesses you when you do the right thing. He really does. And no matter what the people do, God always ends up blessing you in the end. So I'm glad that you follow your faith in that and do the right thing in the real estate market. But there is a lot going on there.
Yes.
I recently went out and was looking at new homes and the brand new constructions, and there's
Mhm.
so much going on in the housing market in Ellis
Mhm.
County. So
Which
let's
we're going to
talk
talk about that.
so let's talk about current homes for sale by owner, and
Yeah,
then we'll get
okay.
into the new builds and all that. So
Okay.
what's going on with, like, if somebody wants to sell a home right now, what does that
Okay.
look like?
Okay. So you said by owner, but are you just meaning like a pre-owned home? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that I
Okay.
go and I sell this home right now that I have. Yeah, any Joe Small wanted to sell a home. What does that market look like in Ellis County right now?
Yes. This is what's so funny. This is why I wanted to talk about this, is because I think that people are looking at interest rates or they're thinking, oh, it's not summer yet, it's not spring. And they think, I don't want to list yet, or I shouldn't list until summer or until the interest rates go down. And the funny thing about it is that I think everyone's just got really freaked out because the interest rates are so high. And they're thinking, oh, the real estate market isn't good. But then when you actually go back and you look at the numbers for Ellis County specifically, if you look at the numbers are not negative. It is not a down market as some people are thinking. It's different than it was 2 years ago. That is for sure. Some things have gone up and some things have gone down. But one thing that is interesting about the mindset of waiting until summer, for example, buyers are waiting for summer, sellers are waiting for summer. But some people are moving right now. Um, so as far as timing goes, I always tell people this: if you're selling your home, like your homestead, if you're buying in the same market, you should always try to time that at the same time. Does that make sense? 'Cause you're
Mhm.
buying in the same market. So time it at the same time, it's less risk. It's never a lose, if that makes sense. If you're someone who you're not buying, but you just want to sell, I would say it's best to get with an agent, evaluate the comps that are specific to you because it could vary. You could have, if you like, let's say you have a house that's on 5 acres and it's in a really desirable area. Well, that could go pretty quickly, regardless of the market, because it might be something that is a little bit more rare that people are looking for. So that I wouldn't say that you have to wait. But if you're in a neighborhood and there are 40 listings in your neighborhood and none of them are selling and they're just price reducing, that's where I would say you might want to think about waiting a couple months and let's see how this inventory goes coming into the summer and coming into some of the higher season.
Do you see
Uh,
that? Are the prices dropping, or are they for the sellers? I mean, are those prices going down? Are you seeing that in the market in Ellis County?
So what we are seeing, and this is not just Ellis County, this is everywhere, is that if you look at prices year over year, and that's what I put on here for you, is if you look at prices year over year from 2023 to which 2023 was like the peak, right? Big time. If you go, what I'm referencing is not the inventory, but the median sales price. So in 2023, the median sales price in Ellis County was 374.9. Well, the median sales price now is 409. So it's up over 6%. Is that shocking to you?
Wow, that
I
is.
think that is surprising. And that's sales price. That's not list price.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that you'll see that is down is if you look at the percentage of what the original sales or like list price to sell price, meaning we listed at 300,000, but we ended up taking, 290.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. So from, 2022 into 2023, it was like people were paying more than 100% of what that list price was. That was very normal in 2022. But then all of a sudden, things changed, interest rates went up. You got to think about taxes. Taxes are in arrears. That means property taxes are figured based on the previous year, which means when everything started going up and went up and up and up, then all of a sudden, a year later, everyone's property taxes is also going up. Okay, so that makes the payment higher, right? The insurance. Everyone knows about homeowners insurance right now.
Oh.
If I talk about it, mine went up 50% last year, and then I just got a new bill and they're going up more and less coverage too. So all those things are going up at the same time. But that's going to create a lull in the market. And that's what we're seeing is, believe it or not, prices are actually higher. But that original list price to actual sold price, that went down, I think about 6% year over year from this time last year. So that's the thing that we're really seeing. The other thing that we're seeing is the days on market is almost double what it was.
It's taking longer to sell right now.
It's taking longer to sell, but let me tell you why this isn't a bad thing.
Okay.
I know everyone thinks if they have a property, they're concerned about this. The truth is, in 2022 and even in 2023, we didn't have enough inventory. There were not enough homes to supply the need. That's when you ran into people paying 106% of the list price, paying over or having to pay cash. I mean, I remember writing offers for 30,000 over the list price and not getting it because that's how crazy things were. And it was hard for people. I think it's really hard for people to understand, what is it that's going on? How do I know? You really have to have an expert to help you know what that market value is, because the reason people are so confused is because you have seller A over here who's like, hey, I still want as much as I would have gotten, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And then you have seller B who's like, I'm moving out of state and I don't have a choice and I have to sell it and I'm going to sell it for nothing,
Yeah.
It's very confusing for consumers to try to figure out, where are things priced? How do I know what to pay for things? And I would tell people this all the time. Just because someone has something listed at a price, that doesn't mean that's what the value of it is.
Right.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Now you have it in these situations. Sometimes you have a seller who, they want that 2023 price, or you even have
Yes.
realtors that says, I'll get you this. And
Yeah.
does that have a bearing on how long these houses are lasting in the market?
It
Overpricing?
does. Some of this market is because people are holding on to having those higher prices. And yes, the actual prices are still up, even from the 2 to 3 years ago overall. But looking at the factors, you have to remember that people were paying more than what they could get the house appraised for.
Wow.
That's what they were doing. They were waiving appraisals and saying, like, even though it's not valued at this yet, I'm going to pay over that amount because I know in 6 months with the trajectory, it's going to be valued at that. So it's not that we've received this huge dip in the market. It's that we went from having like a 15-day supply, literally like a 15-day supply, to having a 4-month supply. People have more options. I think this is a good thing because buyers have more options. Buyers aren't making bad decisions where they're being forced into a house that maybe they don't even really want because they feel like that's all they can get, and just having a lot of that buyer remorse. It is harder as a seller, yes, but I think that these type of lulls are good ultimately for the market because it helps it to be a little bit more level and not settle like this.
Before I move on to the buyer part of it, what are the common mistakes that sellers make when they want to sell their house? What is those mistakes that they run into all the time?
The number one is overpricing. Overpricing is the number one because what is so interesting is you'll look at a house and you're like, man, what's wrong with this house? That's the first thing you think of. If you see a house that's on the market for more than 30 days, you go, what's wrong with this house? And you look at the history and you go, oh, look, they priced it $25,000 higher. And really, it's just now at the market price. That has a lot to do with it. It's that overpricing. So overpricing is the first thing. I think the second thing is, honestly, there's really minimal things that you could do to make people more attracted to your house, to be a little bit more standing out. We are not in the days of you can take an iPhone picture of a, you know, really dirty house, throw it on there and it's sold, like it doesn't matter. That's not the case anymore. I think people are taking their time. Buyers are a bit more choosy and a lot more leery because of interest rates and because of insurance and property taxes and all those things. And it's going to be hard for them to stomach paying $600 a month more, or, I mean, that's just on averages, maybe even $1,000 more per month for the same, house that they would have gotten 2.5 years ago, right?
Right.
There's a lot less urgency to do that. So I think that you have to really work with buyers and try to incentivize them. That doesn't mean, hey, go and remodel your whole house. Not saying that at all. In fact, I'm almost saying the opposite. If you're in more of a buyer's market, you don't want to go and spend everything to make your house this big upgrade galore, because guess what? Your comps aren't going to reflect that. And then you're going to be, $50,000 in the hole because you can't sell it for that higher price. So you have to be careful about making the wrong upgrades, which is another thing. Like me personally, I know any good agent is going to go in and help you determine this is what you should change. So making the right upgrades and not overpricing. Those are the key things that you want to do as a seller.
Now the buyers are out there and, they're more savvy, or, the interest rates are got you a little more cautious, and the price, there's different reasons why. So what are you experiencing with buyers now, and what are the common mistakes that buyers are making right now?
Yeah. So here's the thing is, in a market like this, it's really a better footing for a buyer. It's a better time for a buyer in a lot of ways because they're not coming in with 20 offers that they're competing against. They're coming in with looking at houses. Instead of having 2 options in a neighborhood, they might have, 12. So buyers have a lot more options. They have a lot more power. And I think especially buyers who are also selling in the same market, you have to be careful that you don't overspend your purchase, because then you're going to turn around and be in trouble trying to sell it in the same market. You're going to have to get an agent or an expert to help you know what is the actual value of this house, not what is the list price, what is the actual value of this house, and let that determine what your offer is going to look like. And try to get some of those closing costs, because guess what? If you have to pay $5,000 in buy downs in order to get an interest rate that's affordable, that's all upfront costs that's on top of your already expensive closing costs, right? So trying to get some of those things negotiated in up front, obviously, that's pretty important. And 2, there's a lot more new construction sales.
Yeah, I was going to.
Mhm. a lot of our new construction, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But with new construction, I think a lot of people going into new construction, they think that they don't really have as much negotiating power. And I just don't think that's true. I think when you're looking specifically, if you're looking at inventory homes, there are some things that you can negotiate on that, and making sure that you're not coming in and overpaying up front and then trying to turn around and sell in the same market. That's definitely a thing with buyers, but also just not moving forward is also a mistake, I think, because like I said, this is a good time. If you can be a little bit aggressive as a buyer, because you do have that power now, to get some of those closing costs and to help, buy your interest rate down. I think that's really more of the move as a buyer is, hey, you're coming to a buyer's market. That doesn't, or more of a buyer's market. You're coming into more costs, more fees, but don't let that prohibit you from buying the house that you want to buy, because guess what? Interest rates fluctuate all the time. But you could get into a house that you really love now. I'm not saying go and get into a house you can't afford. Do not hear me say that at all. But what I am saying is, let's think about when is a good time to buy. It's now, when you don't have the competition, and use that power that you have to get those rates down, to get the prices down. And don't be afraid to buy, because this is DFW, baby. There are a lot of jobs here, and there will always be a lot of jobs coming. It's
Yeah.
Texas, so don't be afraid to buy.
Yeah. We've been to just about every single new home builder in Waxahachie, Midlothian. I
Yeah.
think I've been to all of them. And what I did see is there are some serious deals to be had. What you were
Yep.
talking about, inventory homes. And then
100%.
like you have some builders that are saying, look, we'll pay 20,000, 30,000
Yeah.
towards your closing costs. We'll
Yeah.
give you $50,000 in
Yeah.
upgrades. Oh yeah, we'll get you 4% too. So
Yep.
which, some people might get stuck on the, oh wow, I got 2%, or wow, it was
Mhm.
2%. But historically the rates have been what, 7
Yes,
in
exactly.
history. So when you're
Exactly.
looking at 4s and 5s, that's good.
It's not bad. It is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Even 5
So
and 6. I mean, 6 to 7, that's where it was when I started. That's
my
pretty
first
normal.
house, my first house was 7.5. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm aging myself, but yes, it was 7.5. The thing is that I seen that these new homes are really doing this stuff. So talk to me about the new home deals and some of the things that buyers can do to be more advantageous with all these new
Yeah.
home communities.
One thing is people go, well, it's a new construction house, so I don't need an agent and I don't need an inspection. Think again, my friend, because you still need to know how much that property is worth. And that's the real value of having an agent. And an inspection, 100%. DV, get your inspection. But here's the thing. Don't be drawn in by, oh, it's a 4%. Because let me tell you what the fine print is on that. It's all ARM loans. It's all adjustable rate. So they're like, hey, we'll give you the 4% for the first year. And then the second year, it's going to be 5%. And then the third year, it'll be 6%. So don't be drawn in. Do the math. If you don't know how to do the math, get a lender that you can trust, or get an agent that you can trust. Get them to help you do the math and figure out what makes the most sense. Because like I said, you can refinance. But the main thing that you want to get is you want to get the price down. I want to get an inventory that's almost like already done and already has those upgrades, and I want to get those upgrades for free, because that's what ends up happening when you buy an inventory home that they can't sell. They will unload that house with $50,000 in upgrades. Pay for it. So don't be drawn in too much on the upgrade thing unless you're just like adamant that you want to design your house from the ground up. The main thing you want is money off of that sales price. Get the money off of that sales price, because in the end, hey, I'm never going to sell. This is my forever home. Well, you don't know that. So in 5 years, you don't want to be underwater. You want to be in a good position. And the thing that's going to put you in a good position is getting the sales price down. So do what you can to get the sales price down. That's the best move. But another thing I'm going to tell you, this is just a freebie for your listeners. They want to draw you in with all those lender upgrade, like the lender paid closing costs and all that stuff. Still get another lender to run those numbers and make sure that everything is coming out right, because what you care about is APR, not interest. APR means overall interest. That's what you care about. So they might be saying, we're giving you 4% interest, but the APR is 5.5. So APR is what you need to pay attention to. The second thing is make sure they're not going to max out on your concessions. That's another thing that they'll do is they'll say, we'll give you 20,000 in closing costs. Well, you may not be able to utilize 20,000 because of percentages and because of loan rules. So make sure that you're getting the max. Like when it's my clients, a lot of times I'm like, hey, we'll take 10,000, but we'll want 10,000 off the price too, because that's going to end up being better for you. So be savvy about those kind of things. Get your agent to help you and just be aware. Not to say, that builders are tricky, or I'm not trying to bash builders, but I'm just saying that as a buyer and as a consumer, be aware that all those incentives, look at how they break out. Look at the APR. Look at if it's an adjustable rate, all of those things, because it might make more sense to get a little bit of both. Get the price down, get a little bit of upgrades, but do you really need $60,000 in upgrades on a $400,000 home? Inventory homes are awesome when it comes to getting a good deal, because what would have been $550,000, you end up in this kind of market getting for $480,000, like pretty regularly.
Wow. So when these lenders, or not lenders, when the builders, they have, hey, if you get financed through us or through our preferred lender, you get this, that, the other. And then some that have all these other lenders and stuff. Do you,
Yeah.
would you recommend, maybe calling 3 lenders and saying, hey, what do you got?
Yeah, I would. I definitely
them
would. I
from
always
point?
recommend multiple. But I will say that some of the volume builders, there is no touching that. It's too good of it. Sometimes it really is too good of a deal to pass on it. But definitely test it out, and you have to know going into it, like I said, how much it can actually be utilized. Can they actually really give you 20,000, or is their 20,000 really more like 10? Because are they charging you more as a lender? So it's just good to know. If someone tells me they're going to give me $20,000, but then they're actually really only giving me 10, that kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, know that up front. And where you can, try to get the price down.
Definitely, definitely. Wow. There's been a little bit of an education there. Can you talk about solar panels? Because that's one thing that I've seen a lot of people
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
so you've dealt with selling homes, you've dealt with buying homes. So I want to talk about these solar panels before we
Yes.
close out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. DV, I could write a book on solar panels. If you're thinking about getting solar panels, don't, okay? Because in Texas, as a real estate investment, they are not worth what they cost. The unfortunate thing is, as a community member and as like being savvy and being green, if you're willing to pay the money that it's going to cost, because it will cost more than what your electric bill will cost. If you're willing to pay that and it's that important to you, do it. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to put anyone out of work, but here's the thing. There's not enough competition for solar installers right now. And so no matter what the company is, by and large, the install price is so expensive that they will not pay for themselves as an asset. So you have a 2,000 square foot house that might be worth $400,000, and you get talked into putting $50,000 worth of solar on there because it's going to pay for itself, right? Because every month it's going to pay for itself. Well, the problem is if you go to sell that in 5 years, you're on like a 20 to 30-year lease. So you have a lien on your house. That's what solar is. So when you go to sell it, well, someone else may not want that payment. And besides all that, they may not qualify for your house now, because they have to not only qualify for the house payment, they have to also qualify for this solar lease. And when something is a lien on your house, that means it either has to be paid off or it has to be transferable to the next owner. So that does not leave the property ever. It stays with the property, and you will pay that until it is completely paid. So a lot of people just don't really understand how it works, because the way that it's explained is not very transparent. One thing I know that a lot of people talk about, the salespeople really get on this, is the credit. Let me just say, it's up to a $10,000 credit. That is total for the entire year. And there are other things, like for me, myself, I'm self-employed. So I have other deductions that would take the place of that. So I would never get the full $10,000 because I have other deductions that I'm using. So not everyone qualifies for the full 10,000. A lot of times when they break the payment out, they include that 10,000 in there, just assuming that you're going to get it. I even saw paperwork for one of them where they had the payments based on if you were going to pay them the $10,000 back after the first year. And if you didn't pay the $10,000 back, then the payment would go up $300 a month. So then a year month 13, they're like, why is my payment going up? Oh, we didn't pay that 10,000.
That's terrible.
But the other thing is, I mean, roofers, contractors, solar panels, whatever it is in regards to that, if they're knocking at your door trying to get your business, don't just hire them on the spot. Do your research. Have people who know about it help you look into it. Do not hire someone who's coming door to door trying to get your business like that. Be savvy. Do not sign on, no matter how much they pressure you, do not sign on the spot. Call someone, call me and see what it is that, if what they're really saying is the deal that they're really saying, they don't need you to sign. You can look and you can think and you can be savvy. So yes, it's definitely I would tell you, if you had $50,000 worth of panels on, let's say, a $400,000 house, the market value of that might be $5,000, DV.
Wow.
So don't get sold $50,000 because you're going to end up having a situation.
Okay. Well, then solar panels, think about them before you decide to
100%.
into that thing. Well, Abby, I'm going to go ahead and give you the last word to go ahead and talk to my viewers.
Yeah, I would just say, if you are looking to buy and you're in a good position, like I said, the best time to buy is always when you're ready. So don't feel like there's some super secret, is the market right? Is the market wrong? Whenever you're ready to buy your homestead, that's the right time to buy. And the other thing is, this is a beautiful state we live in. DFW is an amazing growing area. So that's another reason to buy in this area. I would say, don't be afraid. Get hooked up with someone who can help you, someone who does this for a living, someone who is savvy and ethical. So whether that is me or someone else, get an agent, get a good lender, and have a good home buying experience.
And I recommend, obviously, that you go to my friend Abby and check her out. She'll get you taken care of. Thank you so much again for coming on the show and talking about this issue, because there's a lot of questions behind it. I've seen so many posts on it. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Can you stick around after the show real quick?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank